Hi everybody, this is Roger Plevin. I want to welcome you to my show, Double O, your bond for real estate success. That's me. I want to just let you know that today we're going to have a really special show, having a guest by the name of Jason Eichmiller. Jason's special niche is in mortgages, but not just any mortgage. He specializes in reverse mortgages, and he's going to explain to you the good and the bad is never ugly with a reverse mortgage. So with that said, we're going to take a little break, and when I come back, I'm going to introduce you to Jason Eichmiller. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Roger Plevin. Welcome to the Double O Show. Today we're going to talk with Jason Eichmiller. Hi Jason.
Roger, thanks so much for having me, man.
Oh,
so excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you are. You're so full of energy, so enthusiastic. I love what you have to talk about whenever you and I talked about this topic. And today we're going to educate our clients and our audience about reverse mortgages.
Sounds awesome. Let's go do it.
Yeah. So tell us, for the layperson, what is a reverse mortgage?
Well, first of all, I will say that there's a lot of myths and misconceptions about reverse mortgages. They are very special programs for senior citizens.
Okay.
And to get a reverse, you have to be 55 and older. You've got to own your house. You've got to live there. Although there are some special programs that allow seniors to actually use a reverse to buy their home, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, what a reverse allows you to do is it allows you to take part of your home's value, not the whole thing, but part of your home's value in tax-free cash without having to do something that seniors on fixed income really don't want to do and can't do. It's without making monthly payments. So if you think about what's the typical, obviously there's a whole bunch of different financial situations and everybody is a special person, but what's the typical senior going through? They're on fixed income and they've got think about their financial money tree. You've got your life insurance, which is normally what you're going to do to pass down to your kids. You've got your savings accounts, you've got your 401ks and your investments, and you've got your house over here. But in the money tree, traditionally, they're plucking down their savings account, they're spending that out to zero. They're taking their investments, they're spending it down. They're taking their 401ks, they're spending it down. Wise man once said, the smartest senior citizen is one who dies with how much money in their bank account?
Zero.
$1.
$1.
Zero is good too, but $10 in their bank account.
Die broke, everybody. Die broke.
Exactly. So what we've found, and this is financial advisors who are smarter than me, what they have found is that when you're aging, when you don't know how long you're going to live, you don't know how much money you're going to use. So especially when Murphy's Law comes, maybe you have maybe your car goes out, maybe you need home health care, maybe there's an emergency, you're draining down your assets, and a lot of folks, in fact, statistically, seniors are more afraid of running out of assets while they're living than they are of dying. Crazy statistic, but if you're a senior citizen, you probably understand that. So what a reverse does is it's going to open up that house. It's going to allow you to kind of think about it as take your cake, take your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Have your cake and eat it too. So you can take your home's value, you can use it as potential cash flow, you can use it for home health care, you can use it to stop making a mortgage payment, and you can still live there. And then we can protect your assets too.
Well, you definitely covered a lot in that opening.
Yeah.
Tell me how you could help clients simply to get involved with reverse mortgage, and who is the proper person who's qualified for that type of thing?
So again, to get a reverse, you have to be 55 or older. A lot of people think 62 or older, but now just within the past few months, a few investors have decided to lower the age and make it more accessible for more folks, which is just, when I hear that news, I get a big old smile on my face because you're able to help more seniors with something that they really need.
Right.
So think about, you can use a reverse for almost anything, but there's let's say three things that you can really use a reverse for. I'll say the first thing that might excite you as a realtor. You can actually use a reverse mortgage to purchase your forever home.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that work, Jason?
Well, I'll tell you. So this is actually somebody, I'll talk about Linda. We just went under contract last night. I got the actual contract last night, and that's one of the reasons why I was up at 5:50 a.m. on my computer making sure everything, all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. So Linda is moving to her forever home. She's buying it for, I think the contract came in at $296,000.
Okay.
She's about 69 years young, and what she's doing is she wants to get into this home. She's got a little bit of money in her piggy bank, but she's on fixed income, so she is very uncomfortable paying that monthly mortgage every single month. Especially, like, what if something goes wrong? What if her expenses go up? A mortgage payment when you're on fixed income it's a pretty rough thing. So what Linda's doing, remember, $296,000 purchase price, she's putting down about $152,000. So she's putting about half of the money down,
Okay.
right into the house. You call it a down payment, call it an investment, whatever you want. Now, the reverse mortgage is going to cover the rest of it. So she's basically, if you think back, when was the last housing crisis? 2008?
Yeah.
She's basically buying her home back in 2008 at that same price where it was before, putting down $152,000, getting a $296,000 house. And does she have mortgage payments? Nope.
That's incredible.
It's really
It's
cool.
like winning a lottery ticket.
It is, once people understand it, it's hard to
Right.
fathom. But once folks understand it, it's amazing for
So,
them.
Jason, it sounds like too good to be true. What is the risk factor with something like that?
Well, she does have to live in her home,
Right?
so she has to keep the home as her primary residence, which, if you want this in English, just live in the house.
Okay.
She has to pay her property taxes and her homeowner's insurance. In other words, do exactly what all of us responsible homeowners are still doing.
Okay.
That's her responsibility. When she died, now here's something people don't know about reverse mortgages, or a lot of people don't.
Please tell us.
People think that you get a reverse mortgage, you get some cash up front, and then the bank gets your home or the government gets your home. And back when I started doing this in 2008, that's actually what I thought. I got schooled very quickly.
Yes.
But it was beautiful that you can actually give folks some money, you can help them out, and they can still pass the house down to their kids if they want to. So how does it work, right? Because
Yeah,
like
how
you
does it
said,
work?
it's too good to be true.
It's a mystery.
Yes. So the way it works is like I said, for Linda,
Yes.
she's going to put down about half. The reverse is going to cover the rest. She's not making monthly mortgage payments on it. There's an interest rate that's pretty similar to traditional mortgages. And what happens when you don't make a mortgage payment? Well, the interest just adds on to the loan.
Okay.
So the way that it works in English is the mortgage gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger over time.
Uh-huh.
But there's protections. Because anybody who's smart and thinking, they say, well, what if you get a reverse mortgage and then 2008 hits? Our house values are so high right now. What if they bottom out?
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen, not in this economy, but what do I know? I don't have a crystal ball. So what happens is, if you live forever and let's say more money is owed on the house than it's worth, number one, you're protected. You still own the house, okay? It's your home. You have full control. Nobody's going to come over. They can't, by law, they can't tell you to leave. They can't take anything. What'll happen is when you pass away, if more is owed on it than it's worth, and let's say you're passing it to your kids, then your kids will say, wait a minute, there's no equity in this thing. And even if there's a shortfall, this is pretty rare, but let's say there's a $20,000 shortfall. These loans are, I'll use a vocabulary term, it's called non-recourse. What that means is that if $20,000 is more owed, like more on the house than it's worth, the kids could say, I don't want this thing. And the government has to reimburse the lender by law.
Wow.
And this is how you can do this. This is how you can help yourself and not hurt your family, which is
It's
really
incredible. Finally, our government's doing something positive for all of us.
right. It's
Anyway,
rare.
It is rare. Well, Jason, you so articulately explained this. I'm sure we have some other questions that you could answer. So with that, tell us more. Tell us some other things that we should really know about.
Awesome. So we talked about how somebody could use a reverse mortgage to buy their forever home, even
Yes.
in this market, how they can do it. Let's talk about what a lot of seniors are experiencing right now. When we're speaking about Linda, we kind of touched it a little bit, but we talk about cash flow and retirement cash flow. And you have a lot of seniors out there who are on fixed income. And they've got their senior living expenses, they've got their property taxes, their homeowners insurance, their HOA dues if they live in a community, they've got their gas bill, they have all these expenses, Medicare, health care, all this stuff. And it's all draining down on their income. Mm-hmm. And everybody gets Social Security, I get that. But also, when you don't have enough money, you're draining down on your other assets, taking your 401k, draining your bank account. Right? That gets pretty scary, and that gets back to my original statistic that there's a big number of folks who are more afraid of running out of money while alive than they are of actually dying in itself. So what a reverse can do for those sort of folks, especially if they have a mortgage, this is what I find all the time. There's folks with a mortgage, they're drowning, I always ask people, we do a financial worksheet together, and it gets really scary. It's like, how long is your money going to last? And they tell me, hey, I've talked to my financial advisor, I've got 6 years left. I ask them, how often does that keep you up at night? They say, more than I want to. So to get this weight off of their shoulders, Raj, what we do is just simply, we'll use a reverse, we'll pay off their mortgage, we might need more cash, we might throw some more cash in their investments or their bank accounts, we might not. Oftentimes, just by eliminating that mortgage payment, they're clear. And I know this because, again, I do financial worksheets with everybody that I work with. I work with their advisors. And it's amazing how somebody feels, like you said, too good to be true, right? While they're going through the process, even though they get counseled, even though they know this is heavily regulated by the government, there's a little bit of disbelief. And I get it. Like, you can't really understand something until you experience it. So the first month that somebody goes through this and doesn't make a mortgage payment, it's like this whole weight on their shoulders, it just completely lifts.
Yeah.
And it is the neatest feeling as a guy with 3 kids who tries to teach them, hey, number one, yes, you have to make a living, but number 2, do everything you can to help people. It's an amazing feeling.
I could tell you, based upon your knowledge, you are definitely helping people. You're like a guardian angel for people's wealth.
Guardian angel, huh?
Yeah, I'll give you that honor because you really are taking something that they have that could be a liability and turning it into an asset.
Yeah,
You're giving them shelter, and they don't have to worry about paying for it.
Yeah, it is. It's really neat. I won't say I'm not anything special. It's the way the programs are built. I'm just a guy who tries to like help navigate you through the process. But yeah.
But I will say, having exposure to mortgages in my industry, I will tell you that very few ever speak about reverse mortgages and how they could help people, particularly buying a property using a reverse.
Yeah, there's so many. They're afraid to talk about it because there are so many myths and misconceptions. There are, and financial professionals and realtors, they're afraid to approach the subject because they're afraid to scare their prospects away. But every single, I can say this, I've done over 450 of these. Every single person is happy once they close. They've got to understand it.
Yeah.
And they do throughout the process. But man, that weight, again, they know they're going to be comfortable through retirement.
Jason, you're amazing. Is there anything more you could add to this incredible conversation we've had?
Yeah, well, I guess I could. There's one more type of person who I think is a real good prospect for a reverse. There's a few of them, right?
Okay.
But there's one more type of person where it's kind of near and dear to me because my grandmother went through this circumstance back before my hair was as gray as it is. We use reverse mortgages quite a bit to fund home health care.
Okay.
And we understand, well, maybe some of you don't understand, but if you're in the situation, you understand as well as or better than me, that home health care is incredibly expensive. So when your parent wants to stay in their home and they can't qualify for Medicaid, they can't get hospice, no programs are going to take them, then they're on their own. So you have this, sometimes it's $10,000, $15,000. I've seen home health care bills upwards of $20,000 a month.
A month.
I don't care if you have $1 million in your bank account, that would scare the you-know-what out of anybody. And it does. So a lot of times I'll have the kids come to me, and they'll say, hey, my mom, she needs help. The lady who was bedridden, she needed her home health care or she was going to the nursing home. And this is so sad. Well, happy ending, but sad in itself when she told me. She came to me and she said, Jason, come up, pull up, get closer to my bed. And she showed me her little pill box. And she said, these pills, they're big boys. You're going to help me. I'm not going to the nursing home. You understand? And I understood completely. She was not going to go to the nursing home. So we had to get a reverse. We basically funded her, I think her house was worth about $650,000. We funded her with a credit line of $331. Mm-hmm. And her and her husband, we had a meeting with them, we had a meeting with the family, and they're using that $331 to keep her at home. Mm. And she's there. It pays for her home care. And that is like, again, as a guy who tries to teach his kids to do good things, we're keeping these people in their homes.
Because that's what they want.
Who wants to go to the nursing home?
I know, but...
No one wants to go to the nursing home, Raj. And if you can live your life... I've used reverses for hospice cases, in some cases where there were folks who were dying and they just ran out of money and they wanted to stay at home for 6 months or a year. I had a guy, lovely, lovely guy. He was dying of cancer. It's a 2-story house. He had his bed set up. Basically, the living room was his bedroom. And so he laid on his bed all day there because he couldn't move, couldn't get up the stairs. Round the clock care, as you'd imagine. And on this TV, he'd play Westerns. All day Westerns. And it just kind of got his mind. He told me when I visited him, he said, this is what I'm doing to escape this. I'm watching these, and this is like the best thing in the world for me. I need to keep it this way. So we got him a reverse. He had enough money to pay for his care. Absolutely sweetheart of a man. Watched his Westerns every day till he died. And it was sad because he died. His family was very sad. And I was kind of sad because he was an awesome guy. And I get to know these people very, very well.
Sure.
Kind of become like family. But he died exactly where he wanted to be. Mm-hmm. He died in his home. And that's what every senior wants.
Well, you are definitely not just a mortgage lender, you're a philanthropic individual who absolutely has a heart for your business and helping people. And that's really what it's all about. It's the same in my business too. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And you definitely do. It's obvious.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. You just we have constraints, right? With your business and my business, there's limitations to what you do.
Yeah.
But you just do if we're experts at our craft, we just do everything in our power to help. If we do that, I don't know, good things are going to happen to everybody.
Exactly. Like I said, you're a guardian angel in financing and mortgages. How many people could say that?
I don't know. I don't think I could say that about myself.
But I look at you that way, and I really think, based upon what you've told me and the stories, it's spot on.
Thanks, man.
I'm so glad you came today. I think the people in my audience are going to be thrilled with what you have to say. They learned a lot. Hopefully they'll engage you to talk about their future and their concerns and what they could do to take their asset to live a more fulfilling life. Because that's what it's all about. Because we're not taking it with us. So while we're alive, have it be the best life you could have. So Jason, you've talked about incredible things that you could do. It almost sounds too good to be true. Now, with that said, are there scams out there that people are posing in the reverse mortgage business to get people to sign up for it when they're really not to the benefit of the particular user?
That's a great question, Roger. And the first thing I will say is there are all sorts of people who can sell reverse mortgages. You have call centers. You probably see the commercials. Who's the guy? Not Fred Thompson. The other
I know you mean,
actor
yeah.
from Magnum. Tom Selleck.
Selleck.
That's his name. And these commercials go to call centers, and there can be people who are green like I was back in 2008 when I started. They can be people who just want to close a deal no matter whether it's good for a senior or not. I like to think that everybody has a senior's best interest at heart, but when there's money in play, right, it kind of brings the crooks out. So there's a couple things that you want to do. Number one, everybody needs to understand that if this is an official reverse mortgage, it's insured by HUD and the FHA.
Okay.
So there's a couple things that you actually have to go through when you get a reverse mortgage. First of all, you have to talk not just with somebody like me, but you also have to speak with a reverse mortgage counselor. So what the counselor is going to do is they're going to make sure that I personally, or whoever you're working with on your reverse mortgage, they're going to make sure that we've explained everything to you. You don't have to become a reverse mortgageologist, but you do have to understand, hey, this is a loan. I'm not Ed McMahon's son dumping a whole pile of money on your doorstep and running away. It's a loan. It does have to be paid back. Now, when does it get paid back? It gets paid back when you either pass away or you sell your home. Or you can make payments if you want or pay it off at any time. It's no big deal. But you have to understand that it is going to be paid back. You have to understand that you have to live in your home, and you have to pay your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance, your property charges. So that's what the counselors are going to discuss. They're also going to discuss other options. Have you thought about selling your home? Is this house just too big for you? Do you have to go somewhere else? You're going to move in with your kids. Good luck with that. That normally doesn't work out very well, but it's definitely an option. Do you have to go to a nursing home? Should you downsize? Should you sell your house? Should you get a home equity? So there's so many different options. And what I try to do when I'm speaking with my client the very first time, one of the big picture questions that I ask is, throw money out. Money aside, would you like to stay in your home, or do you want to go somewhere else? And that's a powerful one because it gets them thinking, like, where do I want to be? And now we know where they want to be. So we figure out, okay, what's holding you back from there? Is it financial? Is it care? What's the situation? And how can I help? Can I help? Sometimes I can't. Sometimes people don't qualify for reverse mortgages. It's just a fact. It's when you have a mortgage, right? Some people qualify, some people don't. But we try to figure that out in the very first call.
That's interesting. What would keep somebody from qualifying?
Well, a few things. And you know what the first thing I'm going to go out of turn, right?
Yeah.
Because you asked, are there reverse mortgage scams? And again, they're regulated by the government, so there aren't any official reverse mortgage scams.
Right.
But there are people who get reverse mortgages who shouldn't get them. And nobody thinks about this. But here are the people who shouldn't. Nobody asked me this question ever, so I'm asking myself.
Okay.
Who shouldn't get a reverse mortgage? And I've spoken with people who could qualify, but I've steered them away. I've told them to sell their homes. Sometimes there's people who are so financially underwater that even if we pay off their mortgage, even if we give them some cash, their expenses are just so high, it's not going to be a forever solution for them. Mm-hmm. If I'm gonna give you a reverse mortgage, it's going to be, there's no crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But all things being equal, this is going to work for you, and this is going to help you live your life as best as you possibly can. And sometimes it just doesn't work. So we identify that very early, and there's actually protections, going back to your question, there's protections in play to where if you're in foreclosure, if you can't afford all of your bills, if your credit's really bad and we've seen that you have a pattern of not paying your bills, we're going to look really deep into this, and we're going to say, hey, does this make sense? Are you going to be able to to make this thing work even with this new money? And if the answer is yes, then I'll do my best to help. But if the answer is no, then you got to talk to Roger. Maybe selling your house and downsizing is the best thing for you. Sometimes we talk about that, and then we end up doing a reverse mortgage to purchase on a smaller home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess, going back to one of your questions. Those are one of the ways that you can kind of not qualify for a reverse mortgage is if you owe too much on your home, if you haven't paid your bills for a while, if you don't have enough income coming in, basically at a high enough level. I'm not trying to turn whoever's watching. I'm not trying to turn you into a reverse mortgage PhD, but this program has to make things better for you, or it just doesn't make sense to do.
Well, I think I've run out of questions because you covered so much, and I hope the audience has definitely gotten a lot out of this and learned something new. I know from my own particular savviness of real estate, to be able to buy a home with a reverse mortgage is fascinating.
It's the coolest. It's such an awesome thing.
It's amazing that people could do that. And I'm going to be sending clients your way to help them.
I love it. And yeah, that's something that we've actually, as an industry, I think we've done a bad job of educating realtors that this is a program that actually exists. The program's been around since 2009. This isn't anything new. I would say though, I probably, out of the reverses that I do, maybe only 35% of them are reverses to purchase. Now I understand that when you're a senior, most of the time you want to stay in your home, you have your memories there, and it's pretty hard to leave.
Right.
But if it makes sense, and the smartest thing to do is to sell or downsize,
Okay.
then they need to talk to you, and you'll guide them. You'll hold their hand through the process.
Well, thank you. And I will definitely send them your way. And Jason, I think we covered it all. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today and experiencing the wealth of knowledge that Jason Eichmiller has when it comes to reverse mortgages. He also does standard mortgages as well, but his specialty is reverse. And that's why I invited him today to talk to you, so that you can learn a lot about that particular product that'll help you, your friends, or your family in the future. I welcome you to come again to my next show, of which I will have another person on caliber with Jason, who will educate you about real estate and financing and learn another niche about that aspect of your life. Thank you for coming.